Hey, welcome back. Miranda here. This session, we're going to be talking about reaching first-year students. So I want to discuss a little bit of why are first-year students so strategic? How do we reach them? Some practical tips on actually reaching out to first-year students. And then also looking at some of the different types of first-year students that you're going to encounter. If you've been on campus for any length of time, you know that not all students are the same when you meet them. So we're going to explore a little bit of that as well. What are some different types of students, or who are some different types of students that you may encounter when you're reaching out to first-year students? So why first-year students? If we're talking about university student ministry in general, wouldn't we look at the university and say, man, all students are created equal, or all students are the same? And it is absolutely true. We're wanting to reach every single student on campus. If there are 15,000 students on your campus, we want to reach out to all 15,000. But what we've seen throughout this series that we're in right now is that we want to be strategic and intentional as much as possible. And so if we are looking at building a strategic ministry, one way we can build a really strategic university student ministry is by specifically targeting first-year students. As you've noticed, the thing with students is they just keep leaving you, right? They come in, they work on their degree, they get their degree, and they leave. So in the realm of university student ministry, we're constantly kind of starting over. We're constantly having to bring in new students as old students are leaving. And so with that, if we're not careful or strategic where we focus, we're always going to be rebuilding our ministry every single year. However, if we target first-year students as they're coming in, then they will then become our second, third, fourth-year students. And then we have them in the ministry for a few years. We can invest a little bit more, we can disciple a little bit deeper, and we can develop wonderful student leaders that will turn into second, third, fourth-year students that then will help us reach and engage students at every level across the varsity. And so we want to get strategic in that. A few more reasons for why first-year students are so strategic is really it's within the first 6 weeks of a student's varsity time that they're going to solidify their base of friends. Within 6 weeks of their very first semester, students are going to kind of figure out, this is who I want to be. These are the people I'm going to hang around. And so we want to get incredibly strategic and targeted and focused during the first 6 weeks of the first semester of each year. And we want to be looking at first-year students because this is the time that they are the most open. They come in, mom and dad have just dropped them off, and so now they're trying to figure out, man, who am I? Who do I want to hang out with? Who's going to be my new best friend? Who are going to be the people that I'm going to do life with throughout my varsity time? And so we want to make sure that we're getting in, we're reaching them at that point when they're looking for people. First-year students have the most time on their hands of probably anyone that you will meet in your adult life. So while they have that time, while they're looking for friends, we want to make sure that we're able to step in and to help them find friends that are going to be a good influence, not just for this life, but making an eternal impact and investment into their lives, into their salvation, into their relationship with God. Again, if we're going to build a ministry strategically, those first-year students, as we reach out to them, they come into the ministry, they're going to be with us for the next 3-4 years. And so we want to make sure that we're building well so that we're not having to restart every single year. Again, just kind of reiterating the point there, if we go after third or fourth-year students, at the end of each year, they're going to leave us, hopefully because they're finishing their degree, they're moving on to the marketplace. But because they're going to leave us, then we're starting over. So if our whole ministry is focused on third, fourth-year students, then every single year we're going to have to rebuild our entire ministry from scratch. Whereas if we invest in those first-year students, they're going to be with us for quite a few years. They're going to turn into second, third, fourth-year students that are then going to be able to reach their peers and do that really well. We have such a strategic opportunity by reaching out to our first-year students there. Also, studies have shown that students or people in general in that time frame of life, let's say in the 17 to 22-year-old time frame of life, are the most open to the claims of Christ. If you break it down into a university time frame, the first semester of a student's first year on campus, they are the most likely to accept Christ. They are the most open to the claims of Christ than they ever will be in their entire life. And with each passing semester, that number, that percentage, that likelihood is going to drop a little bit more and a little bit more. That doesn't mean that God can't reach people in their 30s or their 40s. It doesn't mean that God can't reach third and fourth year university students. But for me, if I look at that and I see, this is the time that they're most open, this is the ideal time that I can hit them with the gospel and they're likely to accept Christ, then I want to focus on that. I want to go into that. For me, university student ministry is about pulling down as many barriers as we can for students that are between them and God. And this is another one of those barriers. They are the most open in this specific time frame in their life. And so we owe it to them, really, to be strategic and come at them with the gospel, share the gospel, live life with them, and allow them to experience Christ when they're kind of looking for things, when they're looking to lay the foundation of their lives. If you've been a varsity student, think back to those first few weeks on campus. First few weeks you've set foot as a first year student, and what are you trying to figure out? Man, who am I? What do I want to do with my life? What do I really believe? For many students, it's the first time that they're on their own. It's the first time that mom and dad aren't telling them what to believe or who they are or what they have to do. And so they are really laying the foundation that they're going to build the rest of their lives on. And so we want to make sure that we're providing them the opportunity from the beginning to lay a phenomenal foundation with Christ. And think about the heartache that really you could save someone by introducing them to Christ as they're laying the foundation. If you think in terms of building a home, building a house, you lay the foundation first and then you build on top of that. You want to make sure that you've laid a really good foundation, because if it has issues after you've built the house, it's much harder to fix. But as you're laying the foundation, if you realize that something's a little skewed or something's a little off, before you finish building the house, it's easier to fix the foundation. And so as students are laying the foundation of their lives, they're laying it during this time period, in this 17 to 22, but really they're laying the vast majority of it that first year in varsity. And so if we can help them during that time encounter Christ, build a relationship with Him, and lay a phenomenal foundation, it's going to do phenomenal things, wonderful things for them as they develop the rest of their lives. So again, first year students are strategic because they're open to the claims of Christ. They're looking for friends on campus. In those first 6 weeks, they're deciding who they're going to be, who their friend groups are going to be, who they're going to hang out with for the next 3 or 4 years. And then also, it will help us to build and establish a long-term ministry versus having to rebuild every single year. So each year we'll be kind of reloading with new students, but we won't be having to rebuild or relaunch a brand new ministry every single year if we get strategic and focus on first year students. So as you're looking at first year students, there's kind of a couple of different types of students that you're going to encounter. Obviously, not all people or all students are created the same. You're going to encounter many different types of personalities. You're going to encounter different interests, different cultural backgrounds, racial backgrounds. The university is such a diverse place. So you're going to meet all kinds of students. And what a fun thing to do. What an incredible opportunity to meet people from all over the world, to meet people from all over South Africa, to meet all types of people, all converging together right there on the university. What a fun and cool opportunity. There are a few different types of students that we're going to meet, and let's look at a few of those. So one of the first types of students that you may encounter as you're reaching out to first year students are students that are ready to lead. So these types of students that we're talking about are going to be in reference to kind of where they are with Jesus and where they are in relationship to leadership and the ministry. So one of the first ones that you're going to encounter are students that are ready to lead. So these would be students that do come from a church background. They would be students that maybe have been leaders in youth or leaders of some sort in their church that they've been in. They've been discipled. They're solid in their relationship with God. The thing with each type of student that we encounter is there's pros and there's cons, or there's things that we can go ahead and start to grow and utilize in them. But there's also challenges. With anything that we do, we're going to face some sort of challenge somewhere along the way. And so with our students that are ready to lead, the challenge that we have there is to make sure that we don't throw too much on them from the beginning. We do want them to be able to acclimate well to the university. We want them to settle in. We want them to really enjoy and get to experience varsity life. So we don't want to throw too much on them and overwhelm them from the beginning. We want them to be able to settle in. We want them to do well in their lectures and in their exams. We want them to succeed in the university and get their degree. That's what they're there for. And so even though they may look ready to lead, we want to make sure we don't overwhelm them with things. And then also we want to make sure that we still take time to invest and to disciple. Especially as we're building a ministry, maybe as you're starting out and you're early in the years of ministry at the university level, it's easy to look at someone and be like, oh man, let me pull them in, put them into leadership right away because I need them. But we need to make sure that we are looking out for their relationship with God, their personal relationship with Him, their growth with Him above and beyond anything. Above and beyond the needs of the ministry is going to be the needs of students in their relationship with God. And so the challenge with those that are ready to lead is making sure that we're still helping them to grow and not overlooking that. It may take a little bit more time and effort from us to dig and see, man, where are you strong, but where are you weak? How can I help you continue to progress forward in your relationship with God? So we want to make sure that we don't overlook that we continue to give them ways to challenge, change, and grow themselves in relationship to their relationship with God. The next type of student that you're going to encounter in these types of terms that we're talking about is those that are just solid members. Man, they show up every single week. They're faithful, they're around, they're available. And that's wonderful. We need those people, right? We need those people that are going to be there with us, that are going to really kind of buy in, and they are there all the time. The challenge with them is we need to make sure that we don't overlook them. It's easy for you to see someone every week and maybe assume that someone else is pouring into them, or maybe assume that someone else is discipling them. Assume that someone else is making sure that they're growing and being discipled. So we want to make sure that as we're looking out for solid members, these first years that rock up, man, they're ready, they plug in, they're there all the time. We want to make sure that we're still challenging them, giving them ways to grow, giving them ways to progress their relationship with God. It's similar to those that are ready to lead, but maybe we just need to keep a little bit more of an eye out. Not that we're not overwhelming them, but just making sure that they are growing, moving forward in their relationship with God. And then the last one that we may encounter is the seekers. Those that they're showing up, they're there a lot, but they're not quite ready to make a decision in their relationship with God. They're there, they're faithful, they're around, but they're just not quite ready. The challenge with that is we want to make sure that we don't push students to make a decision. And that's going to be across the board. First year students, third year students, even as you move out of the university and you're in the marketplace, just as you're sharing the gospel with people in general, we want to make sure that we're never pushing someone into a decision to follow Jesus or to give their life to Him. Because it can't be our decision. As much as we want it to sometimes, you have those people in your life and you're like, man, I just so badly want you to step into a relationship with Christ. I want you to know the Creator God. As much as we may want that for someone, we can't make that decision for them. It has to be their decision. And so we don't want to push students into that. We don't want to pressure them. We need to make sure that what we have created is an environment and a space where students can come in, ask any question that they may have, and know that they're not going to be pressured to make a decision in that time frame. We need to allow them to be around as much as possible, ask all the questions that they have. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't challenge them sometimes, because sometimes you do need to give a little bit of a push, or even give a direct question. Hey, are you ready to accept Christ? So we don't want to kind of shy away from that, but we need to make sure that they know that they are loved, accepted, and welcomed into the community, into the ministry, whether they make a decision or not. So as we're encountering first year students, look out for those that are ready to lead. Make sure that you're not overwhelming them, and make sure that you're still giving them opportunities to grow themselves and to be discipled. Look out for the solid members. Make sure they don't get overlooked, but make sure they're getting opportunities to plug in well, that they're getting opportunities as well to be discipled and to grow in their relationship with God. And be on the lookout for those that are still seeking, that they're trying to make a decision or they're trying to gather all the information and weigh things out before they make a decision. And make sure they're not pressured, but they feel welcome, they're in a safe place, and they know that, man, I can come with all of my questions. I'm not going to be pressured, and I can sort this out between me and God as long as it takes. However much time I need, I've got that in this community and in this ministry. So we know why we're reaching first-year students, why it's so strategic, how we can successfully build a ministry by reaching first-year students. We've looked at types of students. Let's look at some practical ways that we can actually reach out to our first-year students on campus. Because I can give you theory all day, I can give you strategy all day, but without some practicalities, it gets a little bit harder, right? So, some practical ways to reach first-year students. One thing that we've seen incredibly successful around South Africa is if we can get in and be a part of the orientation program at our university, that is huge for us. We've seen great success with that at UKZN in Pietermaritzburg. There have been years that they have let us come in as a student ministry, come right alongside the orientation program, and we were there for every single event that they hosted. We helped do anything that they would let us do. We served every possible way, every day, anything they would let us do, we came in and did it. So much so that at the end of one orientation program, the first year students thought that we were in charge. What a win and what an opportunity. So I encourage you, talk to the administration, find out how much can you serve and be a part of the orientation program. And just be there. Be there to meet first year students, be there to serve them in any way possible, be there just to be available to the university and to your first year students. Another great thing you can do is volunteer to move students into their residences. If there are specific days that you know that first year students are moving in, or just that students are moving in general, rally some of your student leaders, rally some of the people even from the church, and just go help people move their stuff in. What an incredible way to love on students, to introduce yourself, and to let them know, hey, we're here to help you. We're here to be a part of your life. We're here for anything that you need. Do you need me to move heavy boxes? I'll do that. Do you need to talk at, late in the afternoon, grab a cup of coffee, discuss the big questions of life? We can do that. Simply by making ourselves available to serve, one practical aspect, moving students into their reses, really can open a door to serve in a lot of different aspects of life with first year students. One huge thing that you can do, and this is not just first year students, this is across the board in university student ministry, free food. The more free food you have, the more students you're going to have. I've often said that, the key to university student ministry is free food. Students are on campus, mom and dad aren't cooking for them anymore, they're struggling to feed themselves sometimes, or they're just lazy. And so we want to make sure that we're providing as much opportunity as we can with free food. That'll draw students in any day of the week. We want to give students a clear path to get involved. Make sure you let them know specifically how they can get involved and plug into the ministry. Connect first year students to other students in the ministry, not just you or not just fellow first year students, but any other students in the ministry. Give them more avenues to be connected, to be sticky, and to be a part of the ministry. And then last is just, again, be strategic in those first 6 weeks of the semester at the university. That's your key time. Students are building relationships, figuring out where they're going to be. So use that time well. First year students are crucial if we want to reach the university. So make sure you're strategic with that. I hope this helped. If you need some more practical ideas, let us know.